Hello YouTube, welcome back over to GamingHouse, and for today's video it is the review of Mass Effect Andromeda, a game I have been more than well enough absorbed into. I had to start skipping like side quests I kind of wanted to get done just because I wanted to finish it, because if I wasn't working, I was playing this game. So, starting off, it is developed by BioWare. Suspiciously enough, I believe it's not the full BioWare team, at least that's what I've heard. I haven't gone around to fully confirm, but it's not the full BioWare team that was working on this. Of course, it's published by EA, and it is for the PS4, the Xbox One, and the PC. Starting off in the story of Andromeda. Andromeda takes place between Mass Effect 2 and 3. You are part of the Andromeda Initiative. It is a group of people that involve pretty much every race that found a new galaxy to go explore and colonize, and they went ahead and did that. Fast forward to now, it is 600 years later from that point in time, so Mass Effect 3 is done and over with at this point. And you get here, and of course, you look at something 600 years ago, it's not going to be the same when you get there. Shit is all out of whack. There's this shit called the Scourge that fucking wrecks planets and ships. The Golden Worlds aren't exactly Golden Worlds anymore. Your dad dies. It happens in the first mission. That's not spoilers. All the other arcs are lost. The Nexus, which is supposed to be like the citadel of this galaxy, is not even finished. It's not even up and running, and it turns out they've been there a whole year before your ship got there. So now you take the role of Pathfinder, which is the role your dad had, and the Pathfinder's job is pretty much find habitable worlds and make them habitable if they're not even habitable. And yeah, that starts off the adventure. You've also pissed off the first sentient race you run into, the Ket, who are the antagonists of the story, and they aren't up to no good. And I'm not going to get into spoiler territory in this review. I'd like you to explore and find out on your own. Either way, there's some bad dudes with some fucked up ideology. Which is also interesting because when you first get in here, the sentient species, you don't understand what they're saying, because for those that don't know the lore of Mass Effect, they have translators implanted into the communications devices, which will automatically translate. That's why everyone speaks English in the game, when in actuality they're speaking their own language. You're just hearing them in English back to you, and they're hearing their language when you speak to them. So with the involvement with the Ket and also the Angar, which is the other sentient race, you don't actually, when you first meet them, you don't understand what the hell they're saying, because you haven't actually translated their language yet, which I thought was a cool little touch. In terms of the story and dialogue, the story is, it's there. It's pretty much establishing the first one of possibly a series. The side missions are really great. Those have some great level design, also some really great dialogue and jokes and cheesiness, which, yes, there's cheesiness in the game. I don't expect why people think Mass Effect is like this space opera. It's not. It's been full of cheesiness before. In terms of the role-playing the game, I feel like they played it a little safe, and in general a little safe with the story. I feel like there weren't really high stakes at all. The Paragon Renegade trees are kind of been removed, and all the dialogue seems safe. There's no real douchebag or jackass responses. If you wanted to kind of be that role, if you wanted to be like, hey, we're humans, we're here in this world, I'm going to wave my big dick around. There's nothing really like that. You get to customize both you and your sibling, because they made it canon that there's a male and female character. So you either play Scott Ryder or Sarah Ryder. You get to customize both. I feel like that is underused. You don't see the other sibling, depending on who you play as, for a majority of the game, and they play a small role. Also, I feel like they underplayed the death of your father. Really underplayed that. There's no emotion. If you choose emotional options, it feels like there's not really a whole lot of emotion to the death of your father there. Breaking off into what you're supposed to be doing as Pathfinder again, you're supposed to be exploring, and there's a lot to explore in this galaxy, and a lot to do on the settlement planets. There's about five planets that you could possibly settle on and do a bunch of the main and side quests on, all in the goal of trying to establish an outpost there, which will increase your AVP, which will allow you to unlock some side perks, get some research points or get anything else. The environments are very cool looking. Both again in the side missions, they got some unique environments that of course are one-offs. You don't get to see them again. And the planets that you do explore, there's deserts, tundra, jungles. So to get around these new planets, you have the Nomad, which is an unarmored version essentially of the Mako. It doesn't have a cannon or anything. It's mostly meant for exploration. It's got its own upgrades. You can change paint jobs on it. and I found that to be actually like pretty good to get around until you start unlocking all the fast travel points to just go to. Planet scanning is back, and if you're the minority that really loves planet scanning, good for you. That's back in the game. I did not enjoy it, and it seems kind of pointless unless you just like scanning planets to like get the little details on the planets to get that little fix, because you can earn enough resources from mining. Also, again, if you use your AVP resources to get mineral deposits as a bonus, you get a decent amount from that as well. There's surprisingly not a lot of flora and fauna to scan and learn about. Like I was expecting to be able to like scan a bunch of like the unique looking plants you see on the planet to like get a little detail about them, because that's what you would think, because you know this is all largely unexplored. Surprisingly, there was not only a couple instances, particularly in the first mission that you scan a few, but other than that, like all the other planets, you do not scan a lot of flora and all that. There's also not a lot of creatures, surprisingly. You get the same like 10 or so that are like apparently cluster wide, which only a couple make sense because they're with the Ked. But other ones, they don't quite make sense, and that they're like across multiple planets. I wish that there was more, and particularly because they're all carnivorous, it would be nice to see some non-carnivorous fauna. Another thing to be wary of is, of course, there's going to be backtracking. If you sit down on a planet and do everything you possibly can to like make sure you kind of don't need to come back there, you're gonna have to go back there. It's a pain in the ass. On occasion, especially in like the Nexus. Go here, talk to this person, go back, talk to this person now on the Nexus. Oh, now go here, and now go leave the planet, go talk to someone somewhere else. God, I have VidCon, goddammit. Just use the goddamn VidCon. But that's me. It depends on your stance of backtracking. I feel like there was a little bit more than what was needed. Next, we're going to go ahead and get into the bread and butter, which is the combat of this game. The combat is, the movement and everything is really on point. The jump jets, the verticality. It feels like a breath of fresh air in the Mass Effect combat. They also have snap to cover, which I'm not a fan of, and I did not use a whole lot because, again, I have jump jets and other shit, and my playstyle for this was a Vanguard, so I don't use cover. I kind of just get in the middle of the shit. The restrictions on class have been removed. If you played previous Mass Effect games, you would choose your class, you know, Soldier, Adept, Vanguard, and that would choose your skill sets that you would use for the entire game. That's all gone. All skill sets are available, and you can pretty much form loadouts to swap those on the fly. If you say you're playing as a Vanguard, that's meant to, you know, again, get in the shit. You use charge and other abilities that are close up, doing massive biotic damage, getting up close with shotguns, and so you got a defend objective mode. Well, now half your abilities are kind of useless because that would involve you leaving the objective area. Instead, now if you had, say, a combat loadout or any of those tech abilities loaded out, you can, or just straight adept abilities like pull and throw and shit, you can now swap out to that loadout while you sit in the objective area. I did have a couple issues with some of the targeting biotics, particularly charge. It would say no targeting found. You know, I'm standing right in front of someone and it just won't target onto them. You also have a crafting system in the game. You can craft weapons and armor. You can also upgrade those weapons and armor using research points. Those are your kind of like the best options. You can find all the weapons in the game, but really you get the best from crafting, because crafting will allow you to augment, and augments change function of weapons. Say now you can take a regular, like the M8 Avenger assault rifle, that can now shoot electricity if you put an electrical mod on there. And it'll do all sorts of other things, such as modding additional damage, having this weapon equipped will increase power damage, a bunch of other little tiny things that augmentations like change up the gameplay. Now, aside from the fact that after the main story mission, you're actually still in the game. It doesn't just end the game as it did with all the other Mass Effects. You're still in the same galaxy if you want to explore and do all the side missions that you skipped out on. There is also the multiplayer that's in the game, as well as the kind of like strike missions, which if you played Assassin's Creed, it's kind of similar to that, where you pick a group, they send them out to go do side shit. They level up on their own, they get traits if they've been successful with the missions. They also get negative traits. But those also help net you some extra credits and resources and possibly weapons. But the multiplayer, it's pretty much the same as ME3. Besides the fact that you got jump jets and other shit and more races to pick from. That's pretty much it. I actually liked the multiplayer for Mass Effect 3, just because I don't mind horde modes, and this is actually a pretty tame horde mode compared to others. I mean, you're not going 50 waves, you're going to 7 with increasing difficulty. But Not much to add there. There are microtransactions for the crates, but in all honesty, like playing bronze, because I haven't played the multiplayer a whole ton, playing just bronze, you get enough credits to start like buying a decent amount of shit for like you could get the 5,000 crate one pretty easily, and if you so wanted, you could play just a couple more and get the 20,000. Let's get into issues now, which of course this is like the highlight of everyone's fucking argument in the reviews is talking about just the issues. Yes, there is the facial and general animations, which are just somewhat distracting. I don't really like play. I play a game for gameplay, not like this other shit. But it is an issue where you're talking and all of a sudden your character decides to fucking break his neck almost, like just turning to look at nothing for some reason. There was an instance where I did actually manage to glitch outside the map using my Nova attack. I ended up like glitching up into the ceiling of a remnant vault and just getting kind of like stuck up there. But I think that was like a very rare instance of that happening, and since then I was very cautious. There was an issue with my codex because I found out this happens. Remember how I mentioned the flora and fauna and all that from scanning and all that? I couldn't even check the ones that I did scan and all that are scannable in the game because it was glitched out and I couldn't read it. I was very disappointed about that. I have to start the new game plus, and hopefully that actually like registers this time and actually able to read it. There was also frame rate drops. I didn't mention in the beginning. I played this on the Xbox. That's where I play most of my games, unless it's like just a PC only game. But I was having massive frame drops on the Xbox where there was getting to be like 10 or so enemies on screen. It's just like, it gets crazy. It also happens for whatever reason whenever I go into the research and development on the ship. I'll have a crazy frame rate drop for like no fucking reason. So now, getting to the scoring of the game. Also, this video's not actually turning out pretty long. I usually end up my reviews at taking 20 minutes, and I'm padding the runtime now by mentioning that out loud. But scoring for how I score things is a 1 to 10 scale. I use half points to establish whether or not they were good enough for their score. So if I was to put something at like a 6.5 or like a 5.5 or something like that, that just means that they had enough good points, but there were some bad points that held it back from getting to the next rank. As again, 1 through 10, 5 being kind of the okay, 1's bad, and 10's, like, oh, this game's fucking perfect, you should get it. So my score for Mass Effect Andromeda is a 6.5 out of 10. That's just because there is a good game here. There is a good gameplay, there are good concepts here. There is, all that good stuff is there. It is just, strangely enough, this is one of the most unpolished AAA games I've played in a little while, and it suffers from it. And it's just surrounded by like these bugs, and they're like distracting. But don't get me wrong, it is still a good game. If I could like compare it, it's like essentially Mass Effect Andromeda is this great like magnificent painting, but all around the edges of the painting, it's all like wrinkled and torn. So like you're looking at the big picture in the middle, but every now and then you trail off to the side, you just see it's got these wrinkles and tears in it. But that's my take on Mass Effect Andromeda. I really enjoyed the game. If you're a Mass Effect fan, you should probably pick this up. If you're someone who's not, maybe wait for a price drop, wait for some of these bugs and all that to get fixed. I'm really excited to see where they take the series now and see what also like possible expansions come out before Andromeda 2. I really enjoy it. I feel like they did a good job for setting it up. Essentially, if you compare this is the Mass Effect 1 version. Alright, and everyone knows that Mass Effect 2 kind of hit it out of the park for a lot of people, so let's see if they do the same with a sequel. As always, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. And as always, you're welcome to come back over to GamingHouse for gameplay and commentary.